Hello and welcome back to Eastenders Weekly, your weekly podcast that's all about Eastenders and nothing else.
Nothing else.
No,
Not
just
nothing.
Eastenders.
Just Eastenders. That's
I don't
all
want to
we
hear
talk
about
about.
you.
That's all we think about. Yeah, not hear about you.
So here we are. We are discussing episodes from the 1st to the 5th of October.
Excellent. And before we start talking about the one and only subject of EastEnders, there is a little bit of an apology that we need to make because we had a bit of a faux pas last week, Ben.
Did we?
Yes. And
sure?
Yes, and we got pulled up on it as well.
Oh.
We got told off. So thank you. There was a tweet from @SW2963 or Sharon White. And she tweeted to say, wasn't Peggy and Grant's villa in Portugal, not Spain? Now, she's quite correct. It was in Portugal. And we were wrong to say that their villa was in Spain. And we just want to make sure that we got everything correct. Because if we make something wrong, we say something wrong, then we do appreciate you guys letting us know what we've said or done wrong. Because this is meant to be an interesting, fun discussion. But it's also meant to be factual.
Portugal and Spain, the same thing, really. In my head.
I think the Portuguese and the Spanish might have something to say about that.
I know.
But
well,
yes.
I was going to say, actually, watch out for our brief history in Walford this week, because when we were recording that, I was tired and grumpy, and I'd just had a new workout. So see if anyone notices a slight change in
your tone.
Mood.
I noticed a change in your tone as we were recording it. But I thought...
So that's something to keep an eye out.
Yes.
So there may be quite a few things wrong, because my mind was... don't know where it was.
But no, you're just giving people opportunity to find something wrong.
Well, yeah,
to pick
let
at
us know.
Oh, goodness me, we're going to get so many tweets this week. Come on,
if
then.
there's anything wrong, there might not be.
Wait, I tell you what, if everything's perfect, please tweet us and let Ben know that he did a good job, even when he was tired.
Yes, we can try.
Anyway, shall we move on?
Yes. So we're starting off with Tiffany and Jagger, her new boyfriend.
Yes.
I'd like to add that Jagger is the same age as Keanu.
19.
His girlfriend's 15.
Yes.
How old is Keanu's girlfriend?
She's 48.
8.
Oh, is it 48? There's a huge...
That's a nice little contrast.
Bit of a nugget there.
So yeah, Jagger's back. He's been missing for a few weeks. I'm assuming the actor was missing because he's now got a new haircut.
He's trying to grow it through because he was embarrassed by it.
Wow. Continuity like to keep you off for a few weeks if you change your hair.
Oh dear.
So they've changed his style slightly. He's not as greasy and grimy as he was when he first was in it.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a conscious thing to try and make his character slightly different, or is it?
Or softer, maybe slightly kinder.
No, maybe make him seem a little bit older than what he was.
What, so the age
he's
difference
meant to be 19, isn't he?
I suppose, yeah, because...
So I don't know if that's a conscious thing they've done.
Well,
they've taken his hair off his face.
When they first introduced to Jagger, you couldn't really, from what he was wearing and the way he was acting, there wasn't really much of a difference between him and Tiff. And now they're making him... They're almost making a point that he's much more of an adult. He's much older. So yeah, you're quite right. Maybe they've taken... But all they've done is getting rid of their little curly...
yeah, the curly
fringe, the bang at the
wet,
front.
Gel look.
The wet
it's all
bang.
slicked back now. So yeah, maybe it's making him look a bit more adult, is it, I guess?
Yeah, I think
a bit more serious.
I think the writers want you to know that there is this age gap between them, and maybe Tiff is playing with fire a little bit too early.
She is. I'm really glad they've given Tiff a proper storyline.
Oh,
finally,
I know exactly.
Because there were small hints of it when she first came into it. And remember when she was getting involved with those boys, that gang in that car?
The infamous fight with
and Whitney stopped it. So I suppose they were sort of hinting at how immature Tiffany is. You know, she's done this already and been messed around because they nearly attacked her then, didn't they?
But she always wants to feel part of something, doesn't she? This has been with Tiff's story from the beginning. She's always felt like she's not been part of a family unit or a friendship group. And when she got Bernie, she did start to feel part of something. But I think she's never really that happy and she always wants more.
Yeah, she sort of takes Bernie for granted now. Now that she knows she's got her.
Yeah.
She's always looking for something else, I guess.
Yeah, something better, or in her mind better. Quick talk about Bernie, because obviously Bernie is involved in this storyline, but there was another little hint on Monday of Bernie's sexuality again.
There was. Sadly, Robbie was involved.
Well,
in the scene.
But when they were having their chat on the bench between them and they were talking about ratings out of 10,
yes.
He was fitter.
Raise a 6 or a 5. Tiff said 5, I think, and Bernie said 6.
Oh, right. What did Robbie get?
I don't think they did. They just laughed at him, didn't they?
No, I think they gave him a 10.
Or did they? A 10?
Because he turned around. Yeah, and he turned around,
right,
lifted his collar, his collar on his shirt, and
That's
still
really
got
creepy.
it, Robbie.
They're both 15, and he's creepy.
Well, yeah, but then this is where the story kind of continued with Robbie chasing them throughout the day because they think that he was trying to chase them for a date. But in actual fact, they'd left their hair bun on the bench.
Sure they did, Robbie.
Yeah.
Any excuse.
He
to
probably
talk.
made it himself.
Yeah.
Made it at home, got Sonia to help with Dot.
And like you said, one of the people, Bernie sort of looked at one of the girls, but she didn't say anything. But she was almost like she wanted to rate her out of 10. An 8.
Yeah, she was a bit... an 8. That's unfair. She was a bit dewy-eyed, wasn't she? She was a bit like, oh, who's that young lass over there?
I can't admit it.
So
yeah, it's interesting there. Because I thought that was sort of done with.
Yeah, but then we were always very disappointed that it was just drawn as forgotten. And we always said there was a really good opportunity there, and they blew it almost. But perhaps it was just that they wanted the audience to know straight from the beginning that Tiff and Bernie would never be an item. That's not something that's going to happen. Because Tiff's got bigger fish to fry now. She's
been ghosted.
Yes.
What does that mean? Just in case no one knows.
Well, it's when you message someone and you're just being ignored all the time.
Yeah. They've seen it, but not replied like a ghost.
There's a double tick. There's a double blue tick, but they've no reply.
Yes. So she wants to get his attention. So her plan, Tiffany's plan, is to take a photo of herself, which she needs Bernie's help for, and to send it to him, but by mistake.
Yes, that old
with
chestnut.
a filter. And it works because he's just around the corner on Bridge Street. He sends the location.
Oh, so he sent the location. I was a bit confused by this. I wondered.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, I did.
So modern.
I know. These modern technologies. I didn't know whether she had some kind of
a tracker on it.
Yeah, well, not a tracker, like Find My Phone or something.
No,
she knew.
She's obviously, because he sent a selfie to him, he sent his location and he was hanging around Bridge Street, around the corner.
The cafe. And that's where she met. After telling lies to Bernie, though, she told Bernie that she was going to be babysitting tonight for Stacey, I believe.
Yes, hope. Yeah, she went to hang out at the cafe with all the cool kids.
Yeah.
Watching rap videos.
On the iPhone.
All the people in the cafe kept looking and rolling their eyes and walking out.
Youths.
And we both just going through our notes and we both have the same thing written down, which is clap her.
Give Tina the clap. Now, in my day, if you gave someone the clap, it meant something very different.
Yeah.
And perhaps a little less scary.
It's really a weird thing to ask. I don't know. I've never heard of this before. Clap her.
No, I haven't. But then we're not that age, Ben. There's a few phrases they say throughout the week, which I did feel
clap
like drawing.
Her is probably the worst and the most stupid.
Yeah, but he asked he asked her to clap Tina because because Jagger felt that Tina was being facey with him. So basically, was giving him evils. She
clapped her.
Yes.
She dropped all her not Coca-Cola.
Cans of cola, non-branded.
Walford Cola.
Walford brand cola.
Walford factory. Yeah, clap her. Not sure.
Would you clap someone? if you've given the opportunity, would you like to give someone the clap?
Not Tina.
No.
She's been all over the place. So yeah, she did that sort of to fit in, to be cool.
Yeah.
To fit in with the boys, but they were ignoring her, watching their rap videos. So she went. She got business. She said, "I've got business to do.
Business to deal with." She was upset and she felt like she basically wasted her time. But as she left, Jagger kind of watched her and gave a little smile.
He does a lot of those looks, doesn't he? He wriggles his nose or licks his lips like Hayley.
He's a bit slimy, isn't he? I know you said that they're trying to move away from the sliminess, but
he is slimy.
He's still very slimy.
Yeah. Not sure. Well, we'll go once we've summed up the week. We'll go into what he could be planning, maybe.
So she visits Bernie the next day, and Bernie's not very impressed that she'd been lied to.
No.
But Tiff says, "You know what? I've had enough." And Bernie agrees, and this is another little euphemism. That's what I'm going to call them, euphemisms. And she said, "Just tell Jagger, boy bye."
Boy bye.
Boy bye.
That's a song.
Oh, is it? Oh, there you go. I really feel quite old.
Yes, you are quite old. But it's fine. We can keep up with the hip 15-year-olds.
Well, I'm glad I'm watching EastEnders now, so I feel like I'm in the loop.
Clap her.
I'll clap you.
So yeah, she goes to the chicken shop, and this is when she sees Jagger, and she sort of says to Jagger that she's got another man.
Yeah, but Bernie
to put him off.
Yeah.
Tiff.
Jagger asks if Tiff is double parked. I've written them all down. I'm remembering these.
They're really mean to Bernie in this episode.
Well, because
Bernie's a dog, apparently.
Yes, but this is the reason why I think Jagger suddenly cares of basically being in a relationship with Tiff, because I think he's almost doing it out of spite.
What do you think?
He's doing it out of spite for Bernie.
No.
Oh, I do, because this whole thing, when Bernie, after he's thrown fireworks in the Taylor's house as almost a punishment to Bernie for sticking her nose in, when Bernie goes and talks and confronts Jagger and Tiff, Jagger kind of holds Tiff quite tightly and kind of says to her...
He's quite controlling.
He's very controlling, and he says to Tiff a bit later on, Bernie's only upset because she wants her for yourself. And so I think that he's deliberately trying to interfere with their friendship. It's almost a game for him. It's a bit of fun. Because when they have another date a bit later on as well, at the Walford East, Jagger, after the successful date, they hug afterwards, and Jagger's all smiles, and then when he hugs and his head's like on her shoulder, he then starts to frown again and looks a bit menacing.
He's almost like, I don't know, like not grooming her, but he's like setting her up. He's acting really like charming, and I have all this money and I'll buy you anything you want, and calls him wifey and gives her more presents and things. So he's giving this thing across to Tiff that he's grown up and will look after her and things. It was an interesting scene as well a bit later when he was talking to Sticks.
Yes.
On the square, and they were talking about Bernie, about the fireworks, and they said, she's quite hard. It's going to take a bit more to break her. Because
Sticks confronted Bernie when she was walking through the square green.
She ain't having any of it, Bernie, is she?
Well, Bernie's
She's sticking
hardcore.
up for herself.
She's a tailor.
Yeah.
You have to stick up for yourself. No one else will.
He said, I've got something in mind which might get rid of her. So they're going to do something a bit more evil than fireworks through the letterbox.
So if that's what I mean. I think there must be a reason why he wants to push Bernie away. So
it's because it's probably the one strong thing that is keeping Tiff sort of
on the straight and narrow,
on the level.
Yeah.
Obviously, getting rid of her, she's then all his for him to then do whatever he's planning. Because I think he's planned all this because he says, I've got something to put somewhere, which we now know is the bag of drugs. I think Tiffany thought it was phones,
SIM cards. She was told by Jagger that he needed somewhere to stash some SIM cards for some executive big boy phones.
Yeah, and he kept saying, I don't want to get you involved in this. You're too good. You're too good-hearted and always see the good in people, so I don't want you to get involved. And then he just so happens to like walk by her with that other girl,
Vix,
and she gets jealous.
Yes.
Vix. Bunhead.
Sticks and Vix.
Sticks, Vix, Bunhead.
Do you think
Sloth.
Vix is sister to Sticks? Sticks
Maybe.
and Vix?
Someone posted a picture of Jagger and Sticks with Madison and Thingy, and they say they're the male versions of them. Maybe they're the sisters and brothers of each other. That's a theory for everyone.
I'd love to see Madison back.
Yeah, they should have been in this gang.
They would suit it perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. What charges were they really imprisoned for? This still confuses me, that story to this day whenever we go back to it.
But yeah, they would have really suited being there instead of Bunhead.
Yeah, or Vix.
Yeah. So yeah, I think he purposely was walking around with this woman because he knew this was going to make Tiff jealous, and this is a way for him to get his sort of control on her, to say, okay, I will trust you with this then if you're so sure about it.
Yeah.
And
but naive Tiff just wants anyone to please anyone. She gets given this brown envelope.
She'll do it.
Doesn't think about what be in the brown envelope, and then when she gets home and she looks at it, she discovers that there's the drugs in there.
She nearly tips it down the sink. I was just thinking, don't do that.
Well, yes.
I know you shouldn't have this anyway, but that would make things like 1,000 times worse. But luckily she didn't.
But she's physically shaking and she's scared, and so she's obviously already in over her head, and this is only the beginning of what perhaps Jagger has in mind for her.
I mean, let's hope she hides it well in that house, because when I thought it was SIM cards or phones, I thought if Big Mo sees that, she'll sell it straight away.
I know. I did think that. I thought, the apple doesn't fall too far from the house, does it? Because if that was Big Mo, she'd think nothing of it.
No.
She'd be like, yeah, stash as many SIM cards. In fact, Mo did stash SIM cards.
Exactly.
So...
But yeah, this is a little bit different. We're assuming it's cocaine, aren't we?
It's white powder. Yeah. I'd imagine it's cocaine.
So yeah, that's not good.
But it's drugs, and it's not a good thing to have happen. So we don't really know if Tiff will tell Bernie maybe what's happened, what's been going on.
I wonder what they're going to do to Bernie to get rid of her. Are they going to? Is that why they gave us that little hint of Bernie's sexuality again? Are they going to
use that against her
or something?
I think they might.
You think that's why they planted that in our minds again?
But at the moment, Tiff won't listen to anything.
Set Bunhead on her and then make fun of her and
but Bunhead
take
to
photos
flirt
or
with
something.
her.
Something. I don't know. What could they do to upset Bernie? Because they won't go do anything more to the house because there's a dog that lives there. So that's their moral high ground, isn't it? Like, no, a dog lives there. We can't.
Yeah, can't do that. That's a dog. Everyone else is fine. Well, they said 2 dogs live there, didn't they?
Oh yeah, Bernie's
Again,
the other
reference to Bernie.
And I said on Twitter, what breed would Bernie be?
Was there
if
a
she was a
reply?
dog? A Yorkie, someone said.
A Yorkie?
So,
I mean, I think that's a bit disrespectful, that tweet, Ben, quite honestly. That's really nasty.
I was just going with Jagger.
If anyone knows...
I said if she was a dog, what breed would she be?
If anyone ever sees or has seen a picture of Ben and wants to name the breed he would be...
My
please feel
driving
free to
teacher
tweet.
said I would be a sleeping Labrador.
Yes, you would. That's quite spot on.
So what do you think Jagger has in store for Tiff then? So you think he does actually care for her then?
No, I don't think he cares for her. I think he's using her.
For
think
what?
For his drugs pushing, maybe grooming.
I thought a few people have been thinking. But
because there's that link with Whitney, isn't there? And there were a couple of times this week there was a kind of undertone of like, oh, Whitney, don't you remember when you were younger?
Whitney doesn't want Tiff to have her life turn out like her
same way.
hers was. But I mean, I hope not.
But no, I don't think Jagger has any intention. He has no real affection for Tiff.
He's slowly gaining his control over her. I'm assuming he's going to somehow want her to get out of that house, move in with him maybe, or so she's independent, so he has like control on her, I assume. Yeah,
he's had her sleep the night as his before because she went to that house party, but nothing went on.
No.
See, again, there was a scene, I think on Friday's episode, where again Tiff shows her naivety and really shows her age, where she says to Bernie, we did the deed. We've done the deed. And so everyone thinks they've had sex, but all Tiff meant was that they've now, they're
boyfriend and girlfriend.
They're official. Wifey, exactly. And so
that shows her immaturity.
It shows her immaturity. It shows how quickly she can be sucked into a situation. And even Bernie looked worried when she learnt that. So
yeah, it'd be interesting. It's not a nice story, but it's a good story to give her because she's a real good actress, actually.
Excellent actress. A real surprise.
Yeah, so I'm glad they've given her this meaty storyline.
Well, I'm glad they've given a young cast member a storyline because whenever they give them a storyline,
and not like it's just a stupid silly one. It's like quite a meaty,
not a cliched one like, they go to a party and they play spin the bottle or anything like that. It's a dark, a really quite intriguing storyline, something which could be very dangerous for Tiff and Bernie's future.
I mean, there's also that thing of Tiffany's 15. Do you think Jagger's purposely like not gonna have sex with her because he knows it's underage? Like, he's never really hinted at forcing her to do anything like that, has he? So whether he knows he's not gonna...
Well, he tried to buy Tiff a glass of wine, but because
but that's when he was trying to show off and say, I'm really grown up and we will both have a glass of wine. I think he was putting things into her head then.
But that's what I mean. He's putting things into her head. So he's trying to make her feel like, oh, you're an adult. You're old enough. You could handle a glass of wine if you wanted to at a restaurant. But Keegan put a stop to that.
Yeah, but very interesting. Let's hope she doesn't turn out like Punk Mary.
Oh, I hope she does. I love Punk. What, another baby? We don't want another baby on the blooming square.
No, I mean a stripper.
Oh, I see. I see.
Being pushed into things she doesn't want to do. But
she
we'll
want
see.
To do it. She needs the money, Ben. She needs the money.
Who, Tiff or Punk Mary?
Punk Mary. She needs the money.
It's only stripping. I've got a shift stripping.
Can you look after me?
I do apologise for everyone who's not watching Classic Eastenders.
No, sorry.
It's got to be done.
There's a lot of references.
I got a shift stripping, just casually said in the pub. That's the 80s.
What would Dot think, eh?
So, speaking of Classic EastEnders, we're going to go off and have a little look in the history of Walford at a certain house.
Yes, A Brief History of Walford is a feature where we talk about a subject from the show and moments that we remember, or buildings, the character, a storyline, anything that we fondly remember from the soap's past.
And we're back in Walford like we promised.
We are, yes. We thought we've had too much time outside of Walford.
Too many holidays.
Jump back in. But before we jump back in, just another little friendly reminder that Christmas is on its way. They're already filming the Christmas episodes down in Walford at the moment.
They are.
So they're prepared. So perhaps you should prepare yourself for the family or friend member that loves EastEnders by visiting our merch shop and buying a custom-made Queen Victoria bust t-shirt, mug, hat, apron, pillow, hoodie, cat pillow,
baby grow,
pin,
or just treat yourself.
Exactly. Why not treat yourself? It must be Treat Yourself Soon.
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec. If you go to shop.spreadshirt.co.uk/Eastenders Weekly Podcast, you will find the Queen Vic Bust Collection, as we're proudly calling it. And it's a drawing that's been specifically made for us to publish onto T-shirts and all kinds of merch. Just go to the site, have a look. So if you go to shop.spreadshirt.co.uk/Eastenders Weekly Podcast and have a little bit of a butcher's.
Oh, that's an old segment. Having a butcher's.
Oh God,
have to bring it back.
Forgot about that segment. Yeah.
So this week we're looking at, we were trying to find which one would be a good building to start with, one of the residential buildings, and we thought, well, the first one that's ever seen.
Well, let's start from the very beginning.
Yeah.
What a very good place to start.
So the dearly beloved character of Reg Cox, who was our first death on the show.
Yes, poor Reg. It's the very first building. If you think about it, it's the very first place we saw on the whole of EastEnders.
Kicking the door in with Dirty Den and Arthur.
Yes.
And Pete.
Oh.
And they find that Reg Cox has been murdered. It's 23 Albert Square.
Yes, well, Reg Cox had died at 23B Albert Square, if you're going to be a little bit...
Flats.
Yeah, they were flats at that time.
Bedsit things.
But yeah, it's weird,
really
isn't
crummy.
it? They're described as flats if you look online, but they weren't. They were bedsits because they shared a bathroom.
Well, London in the 80s, I think maybe they were flats.
It was a different time.
It was quite something. Poor Punk Mary, when she moved in, wasn't in the best state, was it?
Well, no, it wasn't. So they put a bit of wallpaper, as she described it, they put a bit of wallpaper over the mould, and they basically shoved her in because she was obviously a single mother, just had a child, bit lonely on her own, and they shoved her into this house. And the other residents of 23 Albert Square, Ali and Sue, or specifically Sue, took great relish in telling Punk Mary all about the death that happened in the bedsit that she was sleeping in.
Didn't bother Punk Mary really, though, did it?
Oh, I don't know. I think she got a little bit upset.
Oh, she gets upset anyway.
I know, but she wasn't very... by this point, she'd made good friends with Lofty, and I think she was desperate to try to get away from the having to live in the bedsit. This was about the time also where she was kind of finding any excuse not to be at the bedsit. She would be in the laundrette, she'd be in the Square Gardens, at the cafe.
Oh, yeah, she was, yeah.
Any reason not to hang around.
And we had our first, which was in the press of EastEnders, the first sort of publicity boost of the storyline of the cot death, which was seen as the first dark storyline of EastEnders as well, and which is interesting. Yeah,
to some it was considered almost the turning point of EastEnders, where it was just seen as a kind of a second-rate soap. To something that was actually worth watching.
From there, it sort of knew where it was going.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the heart of East End was 23A and B, because that was with Sue and Ali's baby.
Yes, Sue and Ali's baby, Hassan, who had sadly died in the night. And again, it was quite a hot topic in the 80s. It was...
not many people sort of knew. They didn't really know what caused it or why it happened.
It was confused a lot of people. Even on the soap, it's not said as a cot death. It's just said that he slept awkwardly in the night. He may have slept on his front, which caused him to die. And obviously this devastated Sue, and this made her question.
This was the down spiral of her character, I think, wasn't it? She was never quite the same. She was quite...
Obsessive with children,
but also just a bit disconnected. She was never quite there, was she? She
no.
was a bit blank expression, sort of living in a fairyland, I guess, wasn't she?
She always needed a child to kind of depend on. It wasn't that the child was depending on her, although she liked to think that they were. She always needed that child to be dependent on too, which was really sad.
But yeah, I mean, we were just looking through the dates of all the residents of the building, and sort of late 80s, the house seems to become quite empty for quite a period of time, because Mary leaves with baby Annie with her amazing goodbye that she does. I won't spoil it, just in case we talk about it later.
It's worth a watch.
And then obviously Ali and Sue both leave. And from there it's empty for quite a good few years. So I mean, big families move in when we reach the millennium.
Well, this is when they stop being flats and it becomes houses. And
obviously that must be why it wasn't sort of seen for sort of 6 years.
Yeah.
Something must have happened, because it used to be council residents.
Well, this is when the Slaters moved in 2000. And they basically take over the whole house. So 23 Albert Square becomes 23 Albert Square. It's no longer 2 bedsits, no longer 2 flats. And the whole family
Big
move
extension, because a lot of Slaters move in.
Well, this is the thing. This is where, but you could argue this with a lot of the houses in Albert Square. This is where, obviously, there's been more built on to the house, so that it makes more sense for the
amount
volume
of
of people
characters,
living there. I mean, obviously we know that in the house that the Slaters and Martin are all living in right now, there's a lot of them in one.
Obviously, the Slaters have just
space.
always been good at piling into the house.
Do. They just like to warren like rabbits. They just all kind of stick into one little space. But obviously there's a lot of fiery storylines with the Slaters.
Ooh.
But yes, no pun intended, because the one that we're going to kind of focus on is the one where little Mo is kind of taken up hostage by Trevor. So a bit of background information. Yeah. Trevor and little Mo have had almost their final big fight where Mo has finally had enough, and she's leaving Trevor after hitting him around the head with an iron. She's told him she wants a divorce. Trevor doesn't want.
She's finally standing up to him, isn't she?
She is.
And he sort of corners her.
Well, she
pouring petrol everywhere and holding a match. Or a lighter, I can't remember.
And he also takes his son into the house with them. So he's got them all under hostage because that's his son that he's had with his mistress, Donna Andrews, that Mo has also found out about. And as you say, he's throwing petrol about, he's threatening to set the house on fire. But as it actually turns out, he accidentally does it. And so when the house is burning down, the residents kind of club together and try to help out. And luckily there's a character.
Fireman on
Tom
watch.
Banks is there. Again, we'll get to something else that happens to this house a bit later on. But whenever there's a fire on the square, there's always seems to be a fire man or lady close by who's able to help. And this will basically be the third and the fourth death in this house, where Trevor, Morgan and Tom Banks. That's
our theme for tying all this together, is the death. Just so everyone knows.
Not all death, though. We're also going to talk about a few happy things in a minute. But
I'm going to end on death. I'm going to make sure of it.
But Tom Banks, just again a bit of background information, was a character who was introduced as a love interest for Sharon.
I know, another one for her. Dead.
Same age this time, though.
It's not looking good for Keanu in the future.
Well, that's true.
Is Keanu going to die?
Probably by Phil's hands. No. But that's for another subject. We find out that Tom Banks is already married. So Sharon was having an affair. Well, not an affair. She didn't know, but she finds out that he's already married just before this story where he saves.
That's handy.
I know. So it's almost like it's okay for him to die. They're happy for him to die on this occasion. And yes, so that's death number 3 and 4 in the house because of Trevor. Trevor dies too in the fire, and so obviously little Mo gets the relief finally from the long storyline they did with her about the abusive relationship that she was stuck in with him.
So after the fire, the Slaters gets a bit of good news and get some money in. They become the new landlord of the Vic, Kat and Alfie.
Yeah, so all the Slaters kind of move into
a smaller house.
Well, you say that. There's 4 bedrooms upstairs.
That's
we've
true.
Recently discovered.
Yeah.
But they all and they sublet it because we don't really know if it's now a private residence.
I know, it's a bit confusing from now on.
It's a bit strange.
Yeah.
But this was almost like an era from 2010 to 2013, let's just say, where 23 Albert Square was used almost as a starting ground, so like square one for new characters that they were trying to introduce into the soap. So they started off with Vanessa Gold and Jodie Gold, her daughter Jodie Gold. Vanessa Gold, you might remember from...
Is a meme.
She is a meme. But
do
you remember her from a certain programme that you loved as well?
I do. Footballers' Wives with Kathy.
Yes.
And Bad Girls. With Shirley.
Yes. So they
all get around, don't they?
They all
Vanessa Gold was the woman who always wore white all the time. Like all white, didn't she?
Yes, and she had a bit of a fling, I should say, with Max. Yes, of course.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, exactly.
I think everyone in this house will have a fling with Max, won't they?
No, maybe. I mean, Jodie Gold had her friend with her too, her BFF, called Poppy Meadow, and The Guardian described Poppy Meadow as the greatest television bit part character of the modern age.
Wow. She was introduced from the spin-off E20, wasn't she? Poppy Meadow.
Right. That's
where she was on the spin-off show on iPlayer, and the executive producer brought her on full time.
They brought a few characters in for me.
That's got rid of them.
Yeah, there's a subject in itself, though. Perhaps
that could be Martin's Father's 5 a day. Fat boy.
It could be. Well done.
Poppy.
Yes. Any more?
Zaza.
Was Zaza from E20?
And I can't remember the rest.
It's really bad that I didn't like any of the characters then that came from E20. Fatboy was okay.
It's not your age range, is it? Wasn't aimed at you.
But when they got introduced into the soap, they didn't really tend to...
No, none of them lasted
No,
too well.
nothing-
Apart
they-
from Fatboy, but he sort
Yeah,
of
but he didn't
outstayed his
light
welcome.
Yeah, he didn't light the screen on fire or anything. He didn't do anything of importance. Anyway, so they had a failed attempt with the Golds. So then they tried again with the Moons and the Brannings. So
Yeah.
they tried to introduce new Moon characters, and so they introduced Eddie, who was Alfie Moon's second uncle.
None of the Moons really hit it off either, did they? Really?
Not really. The press quite liked them.
Yeah.
They were quite kind.
There's
with
like
them.
some big storylines, but they're not exactly remembered.
I mean, Michael Moon was a bit more remembered because he was a bit of a scally. Let's just say he was a bit of a ruffian, a bit of...
And everyone loves Joey Branning. I mean, we've had lots of people tweet to us saying how attractive he is. So
Yes,
there you go.
sounds good to
That's
me.
why he was there.
Yeah, why not indeed? But they're talking of the Brannings. There was obviously Derek Branning was introduced, who was the eldest brother of Jack and Max Branning.
Oh dear.
But he was introduced for almost specifically one storyline, which was the
Widely hated.
who's been sleeping with Cat storyline.
Weirdest who done it.
I know.
Literally who done it.
Who did it? There's
It's just awful.
There's lots of different taglines for it, but it went on from July 2012 to the end of the year. The announcement was done over Christmas, so it was actually seen as the big Christmas reveal.
And then that led us up to another fire.
There was another fire and another
Insurance claim.
Well, this was all about insurance claims. This was
It was.
Alfie, but he was desperate for money.
And this is where Kat got her burn.
Yes,
On her face.
which they kind of kept up for a little while, but then she won the lottery, and I suppose she maybe...
Since then, it's all been a bit of a blur.
It's fine. Well, she went to Ireland. The sea air kind of helped her along, and it all healed quite nicely.
Not been mentioned since.
No.
her
Well,
return.
also, Alfie strangely started a smoking habit that people didn't really kind of work out. It's like, you started smoking?
Bit of a mess.
But we do know one...
2015.
We know one character that didn't believe Alfie's claim that it was all an accident. And that's our favourite Tosh. Before Tosh, she kind of looked in and she kept accusing Alfie of it. And that's why she got that reputation on the square of being a little bit edgy and a little bit like not to be trusted because she
was a firefighter, so she saw suspicious
she
activity.
suspected him.
Which we got an exclusive reveal for a few episodes ago when we interviewed Tosh.
We did. Listen back, find the interview episode of Tosh, or more commonly known, the actress Rebecca Scrogg. It's a great interview, so do go back and listen to it.
Toot your own horn.
Why not?
This was the good storyline though, where it was all burnt down and it was not being used. And Nick Cotton was coming back, and it was like leading up to the 30th anniversary. So he is sort of squatting, and where is he squatting? In Reg Cox's old flat.
Yes, he didn't.
Room-ish.
But I'm not sure if they got this right, because from obviously Reg Cox's flat we learnt was upstairs, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Dead in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same building. It's like it's still there.
But I think True Enthusiast wants it to be. It should have been Reg Cox, so it should have been upstairs.
Nice touch though. That
it was an excellent touch,
because obviously the secret that he killed Reg Cox wasn't revealed for a long time, especially Dot not accepting.
Well, it wasn't revealed to Dot for a long
Yeah.
time, but we found out when we were just talking about Dickens Hill episodes
with Den.
and that's when he reveals it to Den.
So this was nice, and he dies in the place where he murdered Reg Cox, where it all started.
So it's almost a karma
Yeah.
that all what goes around comes around.
And Martin, Cush and Stacey kicked in the door, the same sound effects, the same lines as episode 1. So yeah, that was a nice touch that was done for the 30th.
Stacey said the line, didn't she? It stinks in here.
Yeah.
The same line that was said. The very first line that was said in EastEnders. So it was a really nice 30th anniversary.
So it makes you think, is Martin the new Peter Bill? Who's the new Dirty Den? Kush is the new Dirty Den?
Well,
Stacey
Stacey.
keeps cheating.
She's well, it could be though. Yes, Kush could be the new Dirty Den.
And Stacey's the new Arthur.
Yes, well, no, jokes aside, she has become almost just part of the furniture, hasn't she?
Yeah. Mumsy. So, yeah, maybe that's what they were leading to.
Never
Three
know.
characters which could grow on to be greats.
Well, they already are great in our hearts.
We get to a new executive producer now, who shall not be named.
Yes.
But one of his best things he did was introduce the Taylor family. He turned the house back into flats with Jack Branning.
They were taken back over by the council, weren't they? And they were knocking down, is it Walford Towers?
Yes.
Yes, they were knocking down Walford Towers. You've seen it in the background since the year dot.
Kathy used to live there with Ian.
She did.
And Pete. And yeah, he introduced all the Taylors, which was probably his one and only best thing he's done, really, because they're all great. And not quite so much Ted and Joyce downstairs. And that brings us to our last death of 23 Albert Square,
Yes.
where Joyce died peacefully
In her bed
in
asleep.
her bed.
Although not for the will of trying to kill them in much more different, spectacular ways. For instance, Walford and Bloom,
No.
I'm afraid we're going to have to talk about it. 23 Albert Square had got blown up by the gas explosion. The only house that seemed to have all its windows blown through. It's a great scene. I find it.
Is it a great scene?
Well, it is, because again, Joyce does her noises while Ted's going, "Get down,
Ted
Joyce."
has his flashbacks, which
Is
he
this
doesn't
where-
have anymore.
No, yes, his PTSA seems to have just disappeared. Is this the time when, I couldn't remember exactly, when Ted shoots Johnny? Because Ted does it.
It is roughly, yeah.
It is then, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because Johnny
someone
goes,
bangs on the door.
Johnny knocks on the back door to ask if they're okay.
Yes.
And then, so there we go. Could have potentially been a sixth death.
Yeah, he could have died.
Johnny.
That'd been a shame.
It would have been a great shame. So
yeah,
that house
Joyce.
has had 23A and B has had quite a torrid history,
It
really.
has been the first house on the square. Do you think when they of EastEnders ends one day, do you think that's where they're going to end it, in that house?
What, with all the cars dying?
No, but like someone will be like, that's where they'll end it, maybe with the murder or something, like Reg Cox. So it's like full circle.
Proper full circle.
Maybe something like that.
That's Reg Cox. I mean, we've never learned anything else about Reg Cox, have we?
Bring back the Cox family.
I think we should bring back the Cox.
Well, he was just known as like a drunk no one, really, wasn't he? I think.
But
That's
he
what
got
they all kept
physical.
saying.
Yeah, he got physical with Nick though. That's why he killed him from a fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there we go. So
Interesting history.
It is an interesting history. If you think of a place and you step back and think about all the different things, it's like anything, any house.
If those walls could talk.
If those walls could talk, they'd be like, "Get the heck out, Ted! I've had enough. I want someone else in my house."
Let's leave it on that.
Yeah.
Poor Ted.
But yeah, so at the moment, the Taylors and the Ted is taking residence in the house, and there's bound to be lots more fun stories to come in 23.
Maybe some of the Slaters can move in there when Ted goes.
Why not? The Slaters, they're
Free
already
'em up a bit.
spilling where they are. Exactly. They could go
Yeah.
downstairs in the downstairs flat. I mean, do you guys have any memories of 23 Albert Square? Something we may have missed out? Something that you want to expand on? Something we talked about? Do get in touch with us on Twitter at Eastenders Week, on Instagram at Eastenders Weekly Podcast, or you can email us, eastendersweek@gmail.com. As always, we love hearing what you guys think.
And what other numbered house do you want us to look at next week?
Yes,
us
or
suggestions.
building, or street, or character. Let us know.
Walford Towers.
Because next week we've got a special feature. But more on that. I'm tapping my nose.
I'm shocked because I can't remember what it is, but I can't wait.
Well, you wait to be shocked.
And that was our brief history in Walford.
Remind me not to visit that house in the future.
No, you don't want to be the 7th death or the 6th.
You really were tired last week when we recorded that one.
Maybe I should visit. But yeah, hope everyone enjoyed that. Look down memory lane.
Yes, as we said on the when we recorded the feature, something a little different next week. Not too different.
Yes, I remember now.
It's a feature we've done before, but yeah, listen out for that next week.
So we are off to talk about a new character called Simon.
Oh yes, Simon. Simon.
No. Yeah, Ray has multiple identities, we found out last week, and sort of the aftermath of this is sort of carrying on this week with his passports and his mates who happen to live in the same square as him or moving into the same square. Very handy.
Yeah, it's the guy who had first initially called him out in the cafe and asked him Simon, which first drew Hunter's suspicion for his investigations last week. And so
that's why Hunter's like in a mood.
He's in a real
at
bad
the beginning
mood
of this week, and he wants to tell Mel, but Ray sort of interrupts and says,
"Be careful."
Be very careful.
He says, "Be careful before you start, meddling too much." And Ray, the constant slick guy, organises having a man chat with Hunter.
Yes, he's very good at working at people and getting them to say what he wants them to say. He's very good at that because the way he says to Mel, like he wants to get Hunter aside and talk to him, but the way he does it with Mel is he gets it so that she suggests to him to do it. He's very clever at doing stuff like that. That's obviously where his dodgy background as a undercover cop comes in.
He can manipulate the situation to be more of a benefit for him.
Yeah,
he does it a lot with Hunter.
At the end of the week, he does it with Mel, where really she's angry with him, and he turns it right around and makes makes her think that it's because she has issues.
Yes.
And it's like...
That's right. Every day there's something
Yeah.
different. There's something new, and she keeps pecking and pecking and pecking at him. And so, she obviously doesn't want to work on a relationship. And subconsciously, he says she's trying to destroy the relationship without feeling bad about herself. She wants it to make out there. So he's saying that she's trying to destroy the relationship by blaming it all on him.
But he's very quick.
He's very clever, isn't he?
He's very quick to make them double doubt themselves. And he sort of says to Mel, well, this is girl trouble when they're this age. It's all they think about. Or boys.
Yes. But then Mel
Hunter's not
quickly
gay.
corrects him. Hunter's not gay.
It's like last week, she said when they're playing the games, she said, are you okay to Hunter? But it sounded like she said, are you gay? And I was like, what did she just say to him? But no, he's definitely not gay, says Mel.
Well, if he is, it doesn't matter. But Hunter does try flirting. I'm just saying. Hunter does try flirting with a lady at the... Tina, was it? No, it wasn't.
Gina.
It can't be Tina.
Gina G.
Gina G.
Yes, because he's getting more and more drunk at E20 because I think Ray says, oh, this will help him loosen his tongue a bit.
Yeah, I think he's trying to show that he trusts him to drink, so he buys him a beer. Sharon, this is also the first...
Sharon's working
for a change behind the bar. Well, until she gets
it's funny,
text
this
message.
Scene. Yeah, I know. It's like she's getting all this stuff and she's like, I'm not serving him, he's underage. My license is really important. And Ray sort of hints saying, well, your family's not squeaky clean.
Yes.
He knows Phil and he mentions Ben. She's like, what did you say?
Yeah, and then her phone pings and she's suddenly
and then
distracted.
she's like, oh, actually, bye. And it's like, oh, for God's sake, Sharon.
There's a 19-year-old waiting
Surely
for me
he
at
can
home.
wait 5 minutes. And then she's like, oh, bye. And then Billy just serves him.
Well, no, she goes, Billy, serve him.
Yeah.
And without even a blinker.
I know,
Billy's like,
so
I had 2
stupid.
beers. There you go, have them.
God.
Because, yes, this is the first time we find out that Ray has information, and it seems information on everyone, and it worried me slightly that there was flickers of the Wayland storyline beginning to develop again. Do you think Ray is coming in to develop on the square?
I can't really work out. I mean, it's difficult with a lot of Ray scenes because I find it hard to
know what's right and what's true and what's
so
not.
I find it hard not to find it hard to care, but when I'm watching it, I sort of don't really listen to what he's saying because I know he's not telling the truth. So it makes me not really think, I can sort of skip over this.
Oh, I really like Ray.
I do like him, but when it's stuff like that, like he had like a big 5-minute scene with Mel, like saying about their relationship. I thought, well, all this is just lies, so I don't really feel like I need to listen.
You
to
shouldn't
what
absorb
you're saying.
it because it's all going to be a couple
I know
of
it's all a
episodes'
bunch of
time.
lies.
Yeah, it's going to be forgotten, and something else will be the new truth.
So I can't work out whether he is an undercover cop or if he's something else or what, because Mel mentions to Ray a bit later on that, oh, you're getting involved with that Jeff guy again. And I thought, well, wait, so he has a history with this Jeff guy? But it doesn't, or did she mean just again for this week being involved with him? I didn't quite, I couldn't work it out.
There was no, I can't remember anyway, there was any reference to Jeff by Ray in the time that Ray's been in the soap with us now.
No.
So Mel must have known Jeff.
That's what I mean.
The past.
It's like, what does she mean being involved with him?
But then also, if that's the truth, then Jeff was the one who referenced Ray as Simon. So surely Mel should know something about Simon.
No, I know. I didn't quite get that line. Yeah, it's really odd. It's like she knew about Jeff in her past, but maybe she's never met him.
Maybe it's another Jeff. He was undercover with this Jeff, but we know that's not true as well. We know that's a lie as well. There's something else.
It's very bizarre. Shall we just quickly go back to Hunter's bad flirting?
Yes.
Because he's getting more and more drunk. Mel tells Ray to stop giving him drink, give him orange juice. So he puts some shots in it.
He puts whiskey shots in there.
Whiskey and orange juice? Ugh.
I don't know, I've never tried it. Might be nice.
Gross.
I suppose the bitterness of the whiskey was be cut through the sweetness of the orange juice.
No, that's yuck.
Might try it
later.
Hunter
doesn't mind.
Hunter's drinking. He's 15 and he's drinking. He's having the whale of a time.
His limit's 1 lager, Mel says. So he's getting drunk and then they start talking about girls and he says, and Hunter's like, well, I'll flirt with the next girl that comes in then.
Yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you how manly. This is what it is, isn't it? It's Hunter saying, I'll show you that I'm as big a man as you are.
And the lovely Gina comes in.
Yes.
Who's not very nice. Quite stuck up.
She's a bit snotty,
nice
isn't
earrings.
she? Well, she has got nice earrings, but then if you told Gina that she had nice earrings, she'd accuse you of being transsexual.
It's really odd, that line.
Like, yeah.
It's like, I like your earrings. Are you trans?
Yeah, it's
like
what? No, I'm paying you a compliment. How... That's just maybe it's just the world we live in nowadays. You just can't pay someone a compliment.
But Ray works his magic and
gets Hunter home.
Yeah, well, they don't even show that. Like, that's the last thing you see is them flirting with each other, and then Hunter's on the sofa, like, crying in pain.
No, he does take him home because he says, he calls him son, and he kind of says, Hunter's really appreciative. It's like, oh, I'm so glad we've opened up. I'm so glad and he kind of tucks him in, and he says, where are you going? And he gets him a bowl, and he says, where are you going? He says, oh, I just need to do a bit of business. That seems to be his line. He needs a t-shirt that says, just doing some business. I'm
assuming he slept with her. She's written her number on his arm.
Yes, which he almost revealed when he hugged Mel the next morning.
Not very good for a cop. He's getting sloppy already, isn't he?
He did get sloppy with Gina.
He did. She's sloppy. She was meant to be waiting for a man.
Oh, yes, he stood her up, though.
Well, did she? She suddenly knew that. Like, when Hunter was talking to her, she was like, I'm on a date. And then Ray turns up. She's like, I'm not on a date.
Loads of people get stood up in E20. Jay got stood up
Jay
in E20.
Did. Last time we saw Jay.
Stood up in E20? He did. Well, kind of did, because he asked Sharon over to E20, and she never came. We're not 100% sure she did.
Stacey got stood up in E20 because Ruby just left her on her
Ruby
own.
being rude, yeah. What
happened to Ruby?
Whatever happened to Ruby?
Her return was epic.
It really was. Those 3 scenes.
Those 3 scenes of
really
her drunk.
drinking like the champagne
in a different
glass.
Dress every time.
Yeah.
Oh, Ruby.
She's back next week, I think.
Yeah.
So we got that to look
That's
forward
joyful.
To. Yeah. So he meets up with Jeff again by pure coincidence because Ray's leaving E20 and he makes another lie up saying that he's working on their till systems or
booking system.
Yeah. Because you need to book E20.
So Jeff must not know what he does, or does Jeff think he's like a IT person?
Well, that's what I'm guessing. I'm
really
guessing
odd.
that he's told Jeff that he works in some kind of computers, and Jeff drops the bombshell that they're going to be neighbours soon. Because another one of Jack's rentals,
many flats
is, and it's in the same block, the same terrace as where Ray is living right now.
So Ray's like, maybe I am free actually to
have
meet
a
up with
drink.
you, get a bit more info. And he says he's a bad landlord. Don't want to go there.
Yeah, he's got
Those
rats.
Flats got rats. A rat called Hunter and a rat called Mel and a rat called Ray. So he sort of tries to put him off, but he's put his deposit down now.
Yes, it's too late. But he was a bit worried, but he phoned Jack, and Jack reassured him and told him.
Jack.
Yeah. Yes,
do you know how many people I've got on the list?
Oh, right. If we're talking about this, we may as well jump to this straight now. Jack showing his lovely tolerable
kind side. Yeah, lovely landlord.
Yeah, what a great landlord. He basically the guy looked notably so. Rewind. The guy gets beaten by Ray, and Stacey tells
beaten
him
up at night. Yeah,
behind the club of
E20.
Get out of here. The guy says, "Who are you?" And Ray says, "You'll never know." So that's quite exciting, epic. So the guy's terrified now. He doesn't want to live near Ray.
So he wants his deposit back.
So he wants his deposit back from Jack. And so in the cafe, you can tell he's physically shaking. He looks worried. He's looking around him all the time. Something has happened. He's got a black eye.
Yeah.
He's clearly not had a good time the night before he's now speaking to Jack. And Jack's reply is, "No, you're not getting deposit back." No. Do
you know how many people are on my list to rent this?
Yeah, my list.
Well, if there's so many on the list, why does it matter, Jack?
Go next down on the list then. Jack is just...
I know, he's horrible. And also, when Hunter was drinking at the bar, Billy says, "Oh, Sonia's brother died of over drinking. He was young too." And Mel just goes, "Oh, great."
Yeah, thanks.
It's like, all right, Mel, do you not care about teenagers dying?
So is Mel and Jack better suited for each other than we're
Maybe.
actually giving
They're
them
both
credit for?
Heartless.
Yeah, they both don't care.
Horrible.
All they care about is themselves. And their kids, I guess. I suppose you can give Jack that much credit.
I did appreciate the Billy mention. It's nice that it was brought up.
There was a few mentions this week regarding...
Yeah, Penny's mentioned.
Penny was mentioned, who we haven't heard from.
No, for years.
The forgotten daughter.
Yeah.
Who lives in France.
So yeah, that's nice. A few mentions. I like them when they make sense.
Well, yes.
The Jamie one, he's fit. Not quite as nice. But
we discussed that last week.
I'll take it.
Well, it's nice to have Jamie in it, but as we said last week, they could have done it with a bit more style and taste.
Sonia's brother Billy died.
Yeah.
He was fit. Might as well have written that. So this is when Jack is now angry. Angry Jack. He's staring at everyone, staring at Mel and Ray.
Slamming doors.
Yeah, goes to visit Mel and says, "Your husband, he's scared of my landlord."
Yeah. No, he's scared
beating
of
someone up.
My tenant.
My tenant, yeah. Beating someone. How do you get those cuts on his hands?
Yeah. Ask him. It's true.
And that's another example of Ray manipulating Mel, because she brings it up and says, "Well, did you actually hurt yourself at the gym?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I was with my friend. He was spotting me. Phone him. Here he is. Here's his number." And he does it right in front of her, and he knows very well because he's done it like that. She's gonna be like, "Oh no, I believe you." So yeah, it's another one. He was like massively calling her bluff.
It's funny how, again, when Mel first was introduced into the soap, reintroduced into the soap, we kind of argued that Mel has been weakened, that she's meant to be this strong character that's coming in, and every now and then she was knocked down by Phil and Sharon. That's stopped now, and you could see she's almost equal now. There was a few conversations with Sharon, and you could see there was a mutual respect between them.
A few sly digs.
But it was done with a, well done, kind of scenario.
Sharon said, my conversation with Ray's lasted longer than your marriage to Ian.
Yes. But
Snap.
Mel did say that also that when Phil drives like a lunatic, like he's just stolen the car, Mel said, old habits die hard.
Referencing to Steve, that was, I think.
Yes.
Steve's death, which is nice.
But there's Sharon, when she said that, Sharon just kind of went, oh, yeah.
Who's Phil? She's forgotten all about Phil.
Well, we have forgotten about Phil, hasn't she?
So we have Mel being a little bit clued up because Billy has messed up the orders for the Vic and the E20.
No, Billy hadn't messed up the orders.
Oh, hasn't he?
He clicked on one of those postcode boxes.
Well, he did.
He clicked the wrong postcode.
So he messed it up.
Yes, I suppose he did. But he blamed it because they gave an automatic postcode in the postcode box.
Well, they shouldn't name their business after their postcode, should they? That's stupid.
That's a good point. Surely
stupid business name,
the
Sharon.
Champagne should be called. Where does it need to be delivered? E20.
So Mel goes in and talks to Linda. For the one time that Mel's actually being nice, like she's being quite friendly, and Linda's in a bad mood and being horrible to her. So that backfired on Mel. I thought, that was one chance for her to be nice to someone.
But I don't think she all she wanted was her champagne. But this was also an opportunity for Shirley to ask how Simon Ray's nickname is. Simon Ray's nickname, and Mel's like, "Oh no, it's his middle name." Ha ha ha. So she's now lying for Ray too,
covering.
So she's now keeping up appearances, intertwined with these lies. Yeah.
And that's when she asks, because she outright asks Ray, but he doesn't answer. He he answers back with like another thing, blaming her about something. He never answers her why someone called him Simon.
But this is when he starts doing the manipulation of, you're playing a game, and you obviously don't want to be with me. You're always finding something to pick at me. Always finding something to find wrong. And this is when he starts moulding Mel a little bit now.
Mel really annoyed me on these bits because she never does get an answer out of him about any of the things that she's noticed. And then he sort of turns it all around on her and saying it's because she doesn't want anyone to trust. She doesn't really want the relationship. We need a break after being back for 2 weeks. And then she just all of a sudden just flips and she's back with him and hugging and kissing. And it's like, for God's sake, Mel.
Well, he kind of gives her an ultimatum.
Yeah.
He basically says if this is it, then I might as well just go. And you've lost me once. If you want to lose me this time, this is it. This is finalised. He also says something which is interesting, that he thought that it was Hunter's fault for why they were arguing all the time and why she was always finding fault. And then she said he blamed Jack. And so he was also then kind of picking people...
grasping it, yeah.
Yeah, well, he was picking at people who he knew he could easily prove wrong. So I suppose it's Jack digging into her ear, isn't it?
Because he has quite a good scene with Jack before, because he sort of goes around and says he knows a few things.
This is the middle of the week, and this is when you actually learn that Ray is actually a lot more... Obviously, hitting someone in an alleyway and telling them to leave is quite dangerous, but you're learning that he's quite a nasty... There's more to him now than a few kind of deals here, him doing undercover police work
he's got inside knowledge somehow.
Yeah, somehow he knows more. And so it kind of leads to, is there now a link to Gang, the Mafia? Aiden, and his sister.
Yeah, because that's his sister. Yeah, his sister is Clara. But it's interesting because he obviously knows about Penny and his last trip abroad. But he also said he knew about Max's wife as well, Rainey.
Yes.
Did he mean that he just knows of her because she's an ex-prostitute and drug addict, or did he mean I know that the marriage is fake? Did he know that they'd slept together? I'm not sure what he meant by that, whether he meant he just knew of Rainey being a bit of a bad history.
Maybe he's got contact with maybe he's got some kind of way of getting into the cloud, where he's been able to see the video that Amy recorded of him kissing Rainey.
It's odd, isn't it? I thought it was a strange line. He says, and I know about your brother's wife. It's like, well, what does he know? Just about her dodgy history, or does he actually know some of these secrets? So yeah, that's interesting.
Well, you immediately think
info from.
Yeah, you immediately think it's about the wedding, don't you? But it could be, like you say, it could be numerous different things.
So just got a few comments on Twitter this week. So we have Dave Corbett Free. He says, I imagine Ray is a planned set arc character, not one who'll be around for years. Oates may alter this a little bit, but he's very much the type of villain that won't stay. So he thinks he's like got a set storyline here, and then done.
I was thinking yesterday that Kate Oates, when she first joined Coronation Street, Pat Phelan was only in the soap as a bit character. Kind of went in, did a couple of stories, and then left.
Yeah.
And because she saw potential for him to do more, he was then put in as basically her main. This was her tenor. This was the story that basically floated on from beginning to the end.
Yeah, the big story.
So I've been thinking which characters could possibly be a Pat Phelan in EastEnders, and Ray, in my thoughts, is one of them.
Not Stuart.
Stuart's another one. No, Stuart is another one, but it depends on how Stuart's story goes down the line.
You have to think of someone who like left last year, who was only in it for like 6 months or something, like who she could bring back and change
Wayland.
a bit. She could bring back Lauren and sexy glasses man.
Yeah. But
Boy.
But I think Ray's got the right criteria.
Yeah.
He's a bit naughty. He's a bit bad. He's got something in him where he could kill or be bad, nasty. But he's got this charismatic persona ahead of him. Stuart is just plain bad. Yeah. And he's good at he's again good at manipulating, but doesn't have that. So yeah, Ray to me is someone I think could possibly be one of them. A Pat Phelan in the future.
We've got at Arlene H. Wycombe. She says Mel is so stupid to trust this Ray, or whatever he is, and the lies that come out of his mouth. At Phil Ford says Ray is an abuser. How manipulative can he be? And this is one that I found interesting. Steve White, LOFC. He says, if anyone can even understand a word Ray says, please translate.
No, right. So
I was saying this. I need subtitles on when he talks.
I have no problem understanding what he's saying.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
He talks real quiet.
No, he really doesn't.
He does.
The prison scene.
And he always looks down, like talks into his shirt. No. It's all quiet. I can't hear what he's saying.
I genuinely
subtitles are on.
Not have a problem at all. Every word he says is clear to me.
No. Well, I'm not the only one because there's quite a few people saying that.
I'm glad you have some people on your team.
There you go. So if we are going to go off, have a little break now, have a little game, some fun and laughs, and we'll be back with a affair.
Oh. Right, so my turn again this week for a little game.
It is.
You excited? On a scale of 1 to 5, how excited are you?
1 to 5?
Yeah, it's Martin Fowler's 5 a day.
Oh, 5.
5, wow. So you're going to get 5 out of 5 today?
Yes.
Excellent
for
news.
Once.
Just for any new listeners, this is Martin Fowler's 5 a day. The rules are as follows. I will ask Ben a question. He must answer the question with 5 answers that relate to the question. So, for instance, I'll say, name 5 colours of the rainbow, and Ben would say...
Dot, Pauline, Ethel, Lou, and Dr. Truman.
And they would be wrong in the sense that they're not colours, but they are under a rainbow of the soap, that is, EastEnders. So I hope that all makes sense. And obviously play along if you're listening. So here we go. So are you ready, Ben?
Yes. How long have I got?
You have 30 seconds as well. You always have 30 seconds to answer 5.
Okay.
Here we go. So there's nothing better than a good wedding. And on the square there have been a fair share, especially with the butchers. But can you name 5 people who have married a butcher from 1989 to 2010? At least one must have the surname Butcher, be it from birth or having wedded into being a butcher. Okay. That's a little clue. Think about it.
Yeah, but my butcher knowledge is low. But that's fine.
I'm sure it's better than you think. And there's also one answer where a couple had married twice. If you said that twice, it would still only count as one.
Yes, okay. Of course.
So, of course. So to sum up, in 30 seconds, you need to name 5 partners who married a member of the Butcher family. Okay?
The lost family of recent times, I feel.
Oh, I know. There's one Butcher left, isn't there?
There is. Tiff.
Good old Tiff.
Now, who's her mum and dad? Okay.
Okay, so you have 30 seconds and your time starts now.
Bianca.
Yes, Bianca Jackson married Ricky Butcher.
Okay. Tiffany?
No.
Married Grant? Tiffany's
Tiffany's
Butcher.
not a butcher.
Oh, isn't she?
No. She was
Pat.
friends. Yes, Pat Butcher married Frank Butcher. She was Pat Wicks.
Natalie
Evans, no.
Oh.
An Evans, not a butcher.
I thought she married Ricky. Oh,
She had a thing with Ricky.
okay.
You got 3 seconds
I
left.
know. I don't know any butchers.
Oh, time is
Oh my
up.
god, I don't know any butchers. Carol, she's a Jackson.
She's a Jackson.
Sonia, she's a Jackson as well, isn't she?
Yeah. Yeah,
See, the
she's a
butchers
Jackson.
are a bit like...
No, you did this last week. You said you couldn't distinguish between the Bills and the
No, I'm
the
not saying I
Fowlers.
can't distinguish, but I'm just saying I know more about the Jackson side than the butcher side is Bianca. I don't know. So please tell me. I have no idea.
Well, you will kick yourself with some of these answers. So we'll start with Ricky Butcher, as you rightly said.
Are you sure Tiffany Butcher isn't a butcher?
No, Tiffany was friends with Bianca.
Oh, that's why.
That's why she named it after her friend.
For God's sake.
Yeah, after she got knocked down by Frank Butcher. So
who married Pat?
Who married Pat? He also married Peggy.
Oh.
So you could have had Peggy Mitchell. So Frank Butcher and Peggy Mitchell was the 1st of April 1999. Going back then, Ricky Butcher married Bianca Jackson twice, once in 1997.
Oh, they married twice. Oh, for God's sake.
Once in 2010.
Oh, I wouldn't have got them anyway.
And before any of that, he married Sam Mitchell. He eloped to Scotland. We were only talking about it last week.
Oh.
And that was in 1991. Janine Butcher married Barry Evans.
Yeah, Janine's a butcher, isn't she?
Yeah. She married Barry Evans.
Janine to me is like Cher or Madonna. She's just Janine.
I know, you don't really... Well, she's had the most marriages in the Butchers. She married a guy called David in 2008, who was a rich Jewish man.
Yeah, but that wouldn't have been a butcher if she married them, would it?
Yeah, because she kept the name Butcher.
Well, she kept it?
She kept it, yes. So she became Janine Butcher.
Silly.
She then married Ryan Malloy.
They don't count as butchers. Skip past them.
And then she married Michael Moon.
Yeah, they're all Moons and Malloy, not
and
butchers.
And Janine Butcher married them.
That's silly.
It's not silly. The question was, who married a butcher?
Okay, well, what are the other ones?
Well, the last one is, we've done Frank Butcher, which is Pat Wicks and Peggy Mitchell. And then obviously when Pat Wicks became Pat Butcher, she married Roy Evans.
Okay, I accept that. I don't accept the Janine ones, though. So really, that was more difficult than you think. If you take away all the Janine ones.
But the ones you could have got for Janine, like Barry Evans, you didn't get either.
No.
But,
yeah. She's not a butcher when she marries them, so that doesn't count.
She was a butcher. She kept the name Butcher.
Very modern of Janine.
Well, she's a modern woman.
What, she kept Butcher 5 times?
4 times.
Wow.
Because she would only marry them for the sake of either money. As I was saying, she married this guy called David because she married him for money. And then as he was having a heart attack, she revealed that she had done it for the money. Well, I'm sorry.
Well, I feel cheated.
Well, you shouldn't feel cheated. Because even if you eliminated the ones you feel cheated on,
there's still
there's still 7 possible answers.
Yeah, and I got 3.
You got 2. And that was Martin Fowler's 5 a day.
Will I ever win a game again?
I don't know what you have. You have some confusion between. If I give you a name,
I don't think that game was fair. I still don't think it was. But it's fine. We'll move on. I don't hold grudges.
I'll make it easier for you next week. If anyone has any questions,
it's my game next week.
Oh yeah, the following week. If anyone has any questions that they want me to pose to Ben, please feel free to email us.
I'll see them.
Put on there "not to be seen by Ben" as the subject. There you go.
I'll still look.
Okay.
No, I won't.
You won't.
I won't. So we are talking about the Carters, Stuart, Linda's guilt, Mick getting angry.
Mick's guilt.
Mick's spin-off in prison if he stays there
much
longer.
Which we might as well have not invested any time in last week because now we saw the prison twice and both times we only really got introduced with Fraser.
It looked more prison-like though this week, I thought. Well, because there were actual gates and like jail bars.
There was more of an air of mystery to it, so that's probably why it felt more like prison. So,
I mean, all the evidence is adding up for Mick's imprisonment pretty much now. Richie's... That £300 an hour is not going to cut it, I don't think.
No, well, she's basically stacking the evidence against him. So the residue of the gun, and also someone has from another prison. Alan Clark has said that he sold Mick a gun. Showed the photograph to Linda. I think Linda did recognise that picture as the gun that she threw away as well. So
someone's found the gun.
Yeah, but with no fingerprints. But then quite. Obviously, the police are like, but of course they'd clean the fingerprints, which makes Mick even more guilty.
Yeah, it's because it's been cleaned, it makes it look more guilty. And Linda's like, oh. So it was Linda's fault, really. If she left the gun where it was.
Yeah, but it was in an ice bucket, so it would have been surrounded with water. So
yeah, they would have still been able to find something, I guess.
Well, they did. They found the residue on Mick's clothing.
They did.
So Linda's very suspicious. Linda asks Mick...
Giving up hope and
asks Mick again, where were you? And he said, I went to get some air. And, and she's starting to not... believe him.
Yeah, Fraser's looking on. he's talking to a blonde woman and he's like staring at them arguing and not really getting along. Top dog.
Do you think that blonde woman is his wife, his girlfriend, or more
Dunno.
likely
I did
his
wonder
sister?
if it was. I've wondered if it was the blonde woman from before who came to visit Mick.
Well, no, because Linda and Mick
That's what I
both
thought.
recognise.
So that's a shame. So I don't know who she is.
Yeah. Another thing, Linda shows Richie the video of Mick kissing that blonde woman in prison, and Richie says, I wouldn't think anything of it. We know now that Stuart has someone inside the prison, so he can manipulate bits and pieces from inside. But then Linda uses that evidence against Mick later on when she visits him, knowing...
Yeah, well, she's upset because Mick didn't tell her.
That's true. He's been lying to
Remember
her.
2 years ago, No More Secrets?
That was thrown out the window.
That was just before Linda disappeared from maternity leave with her
yes,
secrets.
yeah.
No more secrets.
But again, Linda is keeping secrets from Mick, although she did admit quite quickly when she dropped the gun in the canal.
Yeah, she admitted that as soon as they could. But yeah, it's all going against Mick at the moment. It's not looking good. Shirley's getting more and more angry
Shirley
with Richie.
is fuming at
She's
Linda.
like angry at Richie all of a sudden as well. It's like you brought Richie in, Shirley.
Well, she's just angry because she's frustrated.
Yeah.
But Shirley wants to throw Linda out the pub. What's she still doing here? She's not welcome here. It's like, well, it's Linda's
you
pub,
go against
Shirley.
Mick. Go against the family.
Family.
In their meeting in the prison with Mick and Linda ends with them basically sort of giving up on Mick. And Fraser gives a little call to Stuart to say that he's witnessed this and they're not together anymore. They're not a united front.
He says that Linda doesn't believe him. And Stuart's quite surprised. And he says he didn't see that coming.
Bonus for his plan.
Brucey bonus for old Stuart. So,
I mean, Linda's been annoying a lot of people this week, I feel, because if it is the fact that she doesn't believe Mick, which the way she's acting, even when she's on her own, it does kind of seem like she has given up on him. Like if she was faking it to entrap Stuart, there's scenes where she's on her own or just with Ollie, but she's still acting like she doesn't believe.
I know what you're hinting at, where you're going to. So a lot of people believe that Linda is doing this as an act, and that she's putting this all on to somehow entrap Stuart, because she visits Stuart later on, and they have a conversation, and she says that she wants his side of the story, because to her she says there's three sides. There's Mick's side, Stuart's side, and then with a combination of them two, she can find the truth, which is the third side. Dennis
holds the key.
But that's interesting as well. Dennis has been very quiet throughout all this, and we know that Dennis had some kind of involvement in this. I suppose Dennis has been kind of brushed to one side because of the Shianu story that's happening at the moment. So Sharon's more busy with her own life at this present time. Yes. But so Linda's suddenly becoming very friendly with Stuart and asking him questions, trying to find information out. And Stuart's quite openly
changing his bandage, gaining trust.
Yeah, and he's openly giving this information. And throughout the week, Stuart messages Linda and asks her if she believes him, and this is when they're arranging having a conversation on the phone with Mick, so this kind of gets her a little bit confused and mixed up too. But as you were saying, a lot of theory is that she's doing this as a big plan. This is her to entrap Stuart one way or another, and in a funny way, she's the only one who knows the plan. So she's kind of is she
keeping it to herself?
Is she deliberately keeping it to herself?
I do hope so.
Yeah, on the scenes so at the end she goes, "I told you so. I told you, I did it all. This is all me. I planned it all from the beginning." Which would be interesting because you never really see that in soaps. There's always someone who's on the inside with the other person. Even Sharon, because she has a conversation with Sharon in the week, and Sharon even says to Linda, there's stuff I've had to cover up for Phil on many an occasion. You just do that. That's what you do. But that would have been a good opportunity for Linda to open up and say, well, actually, I've got a bit of a plan in my head, and I'm going to do.
She's not letting anyone in on it, is she?
She's not letting anyone in. So on the scenes.
Not even Mick.
So on the scenes when she's on her own in the bedroom, I think that's just her. I think it's just her thinking. Staying focused, working out what to do next.
So you do think this is what she's doing? You don't think she's believing that Mick could be capable of this? Because there's that whole thing where he says he hurt fingers and how he almost kills Stuart by suffocating him, and she's like, that's not the Mick that I know.
Well, see,
all these sort of things like that, and maybe she is thinking, actually, maybe he is has got this violent side, because Tina said last week, it could just take a little bit for Mick to turn. And
Stuart mentions it this week as well, saying you didn't know Mick before you met. He was a much different person. He liked to play tricks on people. He liked to be nasty and beat people up and be horrible. And you think you've softened him. You think you've made him a much kinder Mick, but he's not at all. Mick even says that in prison he has to be a different Mick. He can't be the Mick that you know outside.
He'll die.
Be...
I'll die in here.
I'll die in here.
I mean, it's interesting. Do you think Stuart would be stupid enough to fall, like if Linda does start coming on to him or whatever, do you think he'll be fool for that? Or do you think she'll just do it as a friendship thing? Or do you think he'll be so, because he's a bit mad, he sees this as like the ultimate prize, so he'll just be a bit blinded by it?
He just wants someone to believe him. And last week he wanted Zara to believe him and failed at it. Linda...
And halfway before that,
Mick... He wanted to be friends with Mick and the whole family. I mean, he tried to manipulate his way in getting Mick to move away from Linda. So maybe he's doing it from another angle. And so he's trying to manipulate Linda to push Mick aside, but then drop Linda and be, I don't know. You don't really know what's going on.
I guess her plan is to get, I don't know, is she going to get in not a relationship, like a fake relationship with Stuart? Or like just like a close fake friendship with him and just get him to admit something?
I think she's just going to keep massaging his ego and making him think that she believes him and everything that he's doing. I don't think there's going to be a relationship. I certainly don't think it'll be a sexual relationship.
No.
Or I hope not.
No. That'd be too ridiculous if she gets in a relationship with him. It reminds me of, I was talking to you about when Arthur was in prison. And Pauline was being wooed by the person who got Arthur in prison, and she got information from him by pretending to be interested in him, and that's what freed Arthur. So similar sort of thing, I suppose, what Linda is planning, I guess. I
think so. I think
she's going to record a conversation or confession or something.
I think we'll only be privy to this plan officially, as it were,
once it's revealed.
Not even once she's revealed it to everyone. I think in one episode at some point she's going to have this conversation with Stuart, where she pushes him and eventually he admits it in front of her, and then she'll just leave or walk away from him, and she'll just get out like a tape recorder or her phone and play it back. And so, but she'll still keep it to herself. But then, as the audience, we'll know that she.
I hope she doesn't do that stupid thing which they do sometimes, is when they play it in front of the person once they've done it.
Oh no, that
like on their own. Yeah. I was like, don't do that,
because Stuart would completely overpower her. Stuart is physically stronger than Linda. Linda's just mentally stronger, so she needs to use that to her advantage.
I mean, the only thing I can see going wrong in this is her plan, keeping it to herself, is that Shirley is gonna almost make the family disown Linda, and it's like, how far is Linda gonna go with this plan?
I don't think Shirley will succeed at that though, because again,
it's gonna like burn some bridges, I think, until it's revealed what she's actually doing, and it's gonna make Shirley feel a bit red-faced, and it might cause a bit of tension in the family going forward, maybe.
I mean, Shirley is softened by Tina, and Tina's always almost like the angel on Shirley's constant devil shoulder. And I think Tina and Halfway this week both mentioned that Linda wasn't acting herself, and I think they're always going to use that as a way of just comforting Shirley into saying there's something going on here, or something's not quite right. Just let this
trust.
Just let this play out.
Linda shouts at Shirley and says, "I've told you, just leave it." And like, that's sort of a little hint. It's like, just leave it. I've got this.
Yeah,
maybe.
this is my problem to sort.
It depends how hot-headed Shirley gets, I guess.
I mean, Shirley
cause some friction.
I don't think Shirley likes to shout and push her weight around, but at the same time, I think Linda has the control in the Vic. So I think as much as Shirley shouts and cries and moans, and Shirley, you can tell Shirley doesn't have the control of Linda, because she tried to arrange a phone call with Linda and Mick, and Linda didn't take the phone call.
Or is she going to push Shirley out of the Vic then? Is Shirley going to be like, well, I'm going to leave then?
I think Shirley would leave herself. I don't think she would ever be pushed.
That's what I mean.
I think Shirley would probably leave.
This plan of hers keeping it a secret is going to cause some sort of aftermath within the family, I think.
But it shouldn't, because eventually, if it gets Mick scot-free...
I know, but Shirley would be like, you should have told me, I wouldn't have done this. Like, Shirley might do something to mess up the plan, like not knowing, like things. I think there'll be a few things along the way which might make Linda think, maybe should I carry on with this plan of mine or not? Yeah,
but if this is the story, and so Linda does stop believing Mick, and it's the whole point is that that's exactly what she thinks, and she thinks Mick has done it, then the fallout of that will be atrocious. And
I hope it isn't that though.
Well, I think this would be the grounds for the Carter breakup. I think this is where the Mick and Linda breakup, and perhaps then new hands on the Vic, which a lot of people are saying might happen with Kate Oates. Yeah. Sorry to keep going back to Kate Oates, but we have to now think about the Ford and think what is going to happen. And I think this could be the opportunity where the Carters might lose the ownership of the Vic.
I don't know. Danny Dye has always said that he doesn't want Mick and Linda to break up.
Yeah, but this would tear any relationship up if it's to be true. It's obviously one of two theories, and that is Linda's lying or Linda is honest and she believes this. So we'll find out down the line.
He's still filming Stuart, so he's there till at least Christmas.
He is. I don't know if any of you guys have seen his videos on Twitter when he's doing his little raps in the car, but they are fantastic. We're really
Jesse
enjoying
Wallace
those.
is a fan.
I'm a fan of Jesse Wallace, as I am with Ricky Champ. Keep bringing them out, Ricky. They're really good little raps. Really enjoying those.
So our last lot of storylines this week is the ongoing
love. Cupid's arrow hits.
Extremely horny Sharon.
Extremely horny.
I mean,
she was just,
5 days a week at the moment, if not more.
She was just, I don't know, she was sliding around the square as she was so dripping with love.
Yes, I mean, we have the ongoing storyline of Keanu wanting to be a chauffeur.
No, it's just a taxi driver.
But a chauffeur hat that she found at the back of the wardrobe that she gives him.
Well, because...
Is that one of Phil's old ones?
Maybe, because
one of her ex-boyfriends she's kept.
She did say she found it in the back of the cupboard, didn't she? So
it's from like a little memory box. Maybe she got Dennis to wear it.
Maybe.
Not her son, her ex.
Yes, I presume that. I didn't.
Maybe it's one of his she's kept.
I don't really. To be honest with you, I suspend belief when it comes to Shianu. So I just believe that she just had it in the back of the wardrobe.
The handcuffs and the knots and
and her sexy
whips.
Lingerie. I mean, she hasn't used that in such a long time. No wonder it's at the back of the wardrobe.
No.
I mean, Phil's not exactly... The last time we knew that Phil and Sharon had any kind of sexual interaction was when he came back from his holiday.
Bought her a chocolate bar.
Bought a chocolate bar and slapped her bum, and they ran upstairs, and she... Although she did
2 minutes later.
She did do that. She did do that scream. She did the very same scream again that she did when Phil slapped her on the bum. So, Yes,
it was all going on. I mean, it was interesting when because basically the whole week her and Keanu just keep a bit on and offy. She finds out his age. She's a bit off of him. Then she is on with him and stuff. She sort of doesn't believe that Keanu could fancy her. And she says to him, "Oh, it's really nice having a modern man interested in me." And I thought that's where this affair's sort of coming from. Phil is such like an old, like 80s chauvinistic pig kind of thing, and what she's attracted to Keanu with is how he's like a modern man. He shows his emotions and things.
Well, he shows his emotion. He shows her respect. He always puts her before himself, which again Phil doesn't do.
It's all the things she's missing from Phil, isn't it? That relationship.
Yeah. But Phil's really misogynistic, and he cares about is he's just his bully beef. He has to show this image, and even Sharon says that in the square she's seen as Mrs. Phil Mitchell. So she's almost lost her own identity, while Keanu embraces her identity, embraces the way Sharon.
She almost doesn't believe it, does she? Like he keeps saying, "Oh, you're beautiful and you're this, and I'm really attracted to you," and she's like, "Stop talking about me." I think it's quite sweet, actually. It's like quite a sweet side of Sharon.
Yeah, Keanu's proper infatuated with Sharon, and I think it's genuine as well. I mean, there's some chatter that perhaps Keanu's using it to deliberately wind up Phil to make him angry, but I don't think it is that. I think because the relationship started before any of the happened with Phil and Keanu, getting fired and the dentist stuff. This stuff started happening way before then. And you say it's nice to see Sharon, almost no pun intended, let her hair down and kind of just be herself again and be free and easy and to just have fun. It's nice to see fun Sharon.
Of fun.
I know, it's lovely to see fun Sharon though.
And it was funny, the storyline where he's going for a job interview. And Mel says, "Oh, there's been a car crash at the same place." It was Keanu's.
It was a Ford, which is Keanu's car. So Sharon puts 2 and 2 together and makes 107.
Yeah, she spends the whole episode like wandering around the square, phoning him, getting worried,
getting more and more. He goes to visit Karen.
That's as well. I thought that was like
that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, like she was that. Not desperate, but like that desperate to know that she's almost risk. It looks a bit odd, doesn't it?
To find out about because Karen goes to see Sharon first because Karen asks if she's seen Keanu, and she's, why have I seen Keanu? So, I believe he's doing some work for you. And Keanu was meant to pick up Chatham and Riley to go swimming, and it's unlike him not to
miss it.
I mean, there's a few times also where Keanu almost puts his foot in it with his mum because later in the week he reveals that the car that he's got is from Sharon. She said, "Oh, I thought you said that was from an old mate." And and he's like, "Oh yeah. Sharon let me borrow it. As an apology for what Phil's done."
And he gets caught by Bernie like sending photos as well. And she said, "Oh, you're sexting someone. Who's the girl? Tell me." And he won't tell her. So yeah, They're not being that careful. We've been saying this for a while.
I like also that the Taylor house is the most realistic house of family coming and goings of the whole of the square. Because this week when Tiff was at the Slater house, I mean, there's like 106 million people who live in that house.
Nowhere to be seen.
And there were nowhere to be seen.
Empty.
The only
Apart
ones you
from
saw
Big
was Mo, Big Mo, and Whitney.
Mm.
But while in the Taylor house, there was a proper, like the mum was there and Sharon Riley was there.
Yeah, people
the dog
walking
was there,
in and out and stuff.
Keegan was there. So there was a proper, you felt like you were actually in this house was being lived in. It was really good. Really good.
And we also have like the big story of obviously when she finds out he's not dead, she sort of admits her feelings for him. And then she says, well, now you've got the job.
Well, no, he didn't get the
No, but he's
job.
got like the fake license and things because of his fake age from her.
Yes, because she gives him a contact because originally Karen gives him a phone number for some dodgy guy and Sharon's...
But not a very good dodgy guy. Sharon knows a better
better dodgy guy. He does a better quality license.
I find it funny how she knows his number off by heart as well. She didn't look it up. She just wrote it down.
Oh, I thought she opened up her address book and wrote it from her...
Did she? I didn't think she did.
I think it was her address book.
Okay.
Modern Sharon. You see the way she uses a phone.
File of facts.
Yeah, she gets
I thought she knew it off by heart. I was like,
No.
how many fake IDs
It was a
has
little
she
red
got?
book. It was a little red book. I was expecting
I'd
it
love
to
to
be
look through that.
I'd like to look through a little black book. I bet she's got loads of
Just
phone numbers in
Keanu.
there. Yeah,
The
just
past 20 pages.
I Heart Keanu written on 20 pages endlessly.
So yeah, she says, oh, well, now you've got this, we'll clean up your car. The Archers will be free for an hour.
Yes, we need to check the oil. We need to just give the
Give me a
tyres bit of
once
kick.
over. I mean, the car.
Yeah.
So yeah, they get rocking.
Well, can I just say a couple of quotes that were said just before the act of love was performed in the garage of the Archers. First of all, Sharon says that she would basically reference to the Archers and also her legs. I'll open it up for you. And then Keanu says that he would be happy to drive south of the river for her. So, just a couple of quotes from Sharon and Keanu's sordid affair.
I know. I mean, she gets in the back of the seat, gets right on her back, her phone drops out of her pocket.
Yes, she
and
dials.
starts ringing someone.
Who though?
And yeah, there's voicemails and missed calls from Sharon on someone's phone in the cafe of her squeaking and giggling and moaning and saying his name, him saying her name. Now, who did she call? Who do you think it is? Someone who has an iPhone, a white iPhone.
The common consensus is that it's Louise. However, I have my own theory.
I have a theory too.
Oh,
What's
okay.
yours?
Well,
Just in case they're the same.
Oh, well, no, I want you to go first then.
What if it's the same as yours? Our theory's never the same.
Well, okay.
I haven't really got a theory, but I thought it could be Karen.
Oh, it is the same.
Oh, for
I think it's
God's
Karen
sake.
too. I think it's Karen.
Oh, okay.
The only thing that makes me think it's not Karen is the phone was
Not
quite
broken.
new. Not broken.
Not like
yeah.
smashed screen or something.
No, and it's quite a new and it's quite an expensive phone. But then that's not to say she didn't buy a phone from Jagger, for instance. So,
But yeah, there's not many. It could be Louise.
or Keegan. Keegan's another one. We know that Keegan has an iPhone.
Yeah, but why would Sharon have Keegan's mobile number? It's Sharon's phone. Phoning it.
True, but then why would she have Karen?
Michelle.
Well, she mentions Michelle this week.
I know,
well.
I saw
Yes,
that. That was
yes.
good.
She
I
said
liked that.
yes. She said she had a friend
Who had a similar situation, didn't turn out very
Yeah.
well. She got fired. Could be Louise. Because the CV was in Louise's scanner.
Oh, that's right. And she asked her
So,
why.
Yeah, that could be. But I mean, that's interesting. It's like, what would Louise do with him? Surely she'd go straight to Phil. Would
I
she
don't know.
blackmail?
I don't think
I
she
don't know
would
if she'd
blackmail
blackmail
Sharon,
them.
but I think there'd be like a week long where she'd be like torn of whether she should tell Phil or not, and something will happen, and there'll be this big argument between Sharon and Louise, and then Louise will just reveal it.
Was it Dennis she was phoning?
Oh, I hope it wasn't Dennis. Of course.
Oh yeah, that'd
Poor
be gross,
Dennis, his
wouldn't
little
it?
ears.
Yeah, that would be gross. But yeah, I can't really think of who else it could be.
I think Karen or
Louise.
Yeah, that's likely. I'd love it to be a third person. Be nice to be a bit of a surprise. Dot. Gonna be Dot. Gosh. Imagine.
Well, she is back soon
She is.
because the autumn trailer was released.
Yes.
Dot appeared in the autumn trailer. Oh my god.
And Dave the cat.
Yeah, he was there. Dr. Leg. Who's that?
Well, you might find out next week.
So yeah, Halloween is going to be a big storyline this year because they forgot it last year.
Yes, and you saw in the autumn trailer that they were all dressed up in Halloween costumes.
Yes, and it looks like Hayley might be giving birth at Halloween in the back of Keanu's cab.
It looks like Jean will find out about Hayley's little secrets.
Yes, Alfie. I just realised actually the phone that Sharon could have been phoning could have been Kat. She's phoned her a few times for a few jobs with Keanu, and she's mentioned a few things with Keanu, like got Kat to do a few jobs for Keanu, so she might put two and two together.
Maybe.
Big Mo.
Let's stop this
cat
now.
possibly.
Possibly
But,
cat.
Yeah. So yeah, got a fun autumn to look forward to. It looks quite decent actually.
I have to say, yes.
Well
I
edited.
agree. So let's quickly then jump to the poll of the week, which we put on Twitter every Monday when EastEnders is being broadcast in the UK. The question was, Stuart is going to continue to tear the Carters apart by manipulating Linda's affections toward him. How do you think he will start his charm offensive? And the alternative answers were buy a royal wedding DVD, wear a pink dressing gown, which is like the one that Mick wore during the
At
wedding.
the wedding,
yes.
yes.
I just thought, for context. A box of Minute Mark chocolates, or make a mixtape. Shall I go through the order?
Or play torturer with her with the mixtape.
Yeah.
I would say the royal wedding because he broke her china set, so it's the least he could do. And
Or
it's
buy a DVD of the royal wedding. Yeah.
place to her heart.
Well, unfortunately, the Twitter community didn't agree with you. Number one was wear a pink dressing gown at 44%. Second was buy the royal wedding DVD at 32%. Third was the mixtape at 15% and 15%, and the chocolate was at 9%. A couple of comments, just really quickly. At EE Sprite, hello. She knew what he did to Tina, and she knows he broke into their home and sexually assaulted her, as she saw in the video. He threatened her in the cellar. How tone deaf are EastEnders? So she's not happy with this storyline at all. And at Camilla Latham basically says, I've finally given up with this ridiculous storyline. Boring! Exclamation mark. So I'm a bit upset that people...
Let's hope it's not as black and white as it appears.
No.
We're hoping it's not.
But
Because I'll be disappointed if it is.
Yeah, I'm a bit sad that people think this storyline's kind of taken a bit of a dull turn, because I think it's still got good legs, to be honest with you.
I'm enjoying less Stuart. Like, I do like Stuart, and I think it's interesting, but I'm enjoying not having him, like, in every single scene. I think less is more with him at the moment.
There has been a lot less this week.
It's been better.
It's been very rationed out this week. But yes,
better.
As always, you can get in touch with us on Twitter at EastEnders Week. You can get in touch with us on Instagram at EastEnders Weekly Podcast. Email us eastendersweek@gmail.com. Send us your comments, your thoughts, anything you like. A quick shout out to say thank you to everyone who's been sending us really nice comments on Twitter these past couple of weeks, been saying how they've been enjoying the show. Big thumbs up.
Yeah, who'd know?
Exactly. We're obviously not wasting our time. Thank you so much, guys, for these tweets. I really appreciate them. Just to remind people, you can also review us on iTunes if you wanted to. Just give us 5 stars and write a little comment.
Helps us appear.
It helps us appear
Apparently.
a little bit on the chart. I don't know how it works, but do it if you feel good and you want to help us along. Then please do.
Yeah.
Feel free to do
and
so.
Before we go, I don't want to be a bit weird, but I just got a really weird voicemail from your mum.